Welcome to Personal Finance Deep Dives, where we help you make your money work for you. Today, we're going to tackle a topic that honestly can be pretty scary and confusing for a lot of people. Home foreclosure. It's a question a lot of folks have. And you know what? We're going to dive right in. We'll break down the whole journey, step by step.
All right, so first things first. Foreclosure? It isn't just one thing that happens, like flipping a switch. Nope. It's actually a whole legal process. And it all kicks off when a homeowner, that's the borrower, breaks the initial promise they made to their lender.
So let me break that down. When you get a mortgage, you sign this thing called a promissory note. It's basically your IOU, your promise to pay back that loan. And when you start missing payments, well, from the lender's point of view, that promise has been broken. Now, this is really important, and honestly, something a lot of people don't realize. Lenders can't just jump the gun. In fact, federal rules generally say they can't even start the official foreclosure process until you're more than 120 days late on your payments. Think about that. That's a huge, critical window of time for you to take action. And that brings us to takeaway number one. The key thing here is that foreclosure doesn't happen overnight. You've got this crucial window of time to act, to get help, and to look at your options before things get more serious. Okay, so let's say about 3 to 6 months of missed payments have gone by. At this point, the lender is going to make things official. And they do that by filing a public document. And that document, it's called a Notice of Default, or an NOD for short. Now, this isn't just another letter from your bank. This is a big deal. It's a formal, public record saying you've defaulted on your loan. It officially kicks off the foreclosure proceedings, and it will tell you exactly how much you owe to get back in good standing. So what happens if you get that notice of default, but you can't resolve the issue? Well, that's when the process moves into a much more serious phase. This is where we go from the NOD to something called a Notice of Trustees Sale, or NOTS. See the difference? The first one is a warning. This one, the NOTS, well, this is a formal announcement. It means a specific date, time, and place have been set to sell your home at a public auction. The clock is literally ticking now. And, this whole journey from that very first missed payment through the NOD and this whole pre-foreclosure period all the way to that Notice of Trustees Sale, it's all leading to one place, the auction. This period is your last real chance to stop that sale and, potentially, an eviction. Look, I know this all sounds incredibly overwhelming, and it is. But here's the most important thing to hear right now. Even when you're deep in this process, you are not out of options. You have lifelines. And that brings us right to takeaway number 2. The absolute worst thing you can do is ignore the problem. You have options, I promise. But it all starts with one simple but crucial step, talking to your lender. So what are these options? Well, you can talk to your lender about things like forbearance. That's where they might let you pause or lower your payments for a little while. Or maybe a repayment plan to help you catch up. There's also loan modification, which is a permanent change to your loan to make it more affordable. And hey, if keeping the house just isn't in the cards, you could look into a short sale or a deed in lieu of foreclosure. Both of those can help you get out of the mortgage with less financial damage than a full-blown foreclosure. Let's zoom in on the short sale for a second. This is where the bank actually gives you permission to sell the house yourself, even if the price is less than what you still owe on the mortgage. Now, don't get me wrong, it still hurts your credit, but it's nowhere near as bad as the hit from a full foreclosure. And here's a super important warning. Please listen to this. You've got to beware of scams. There are companies out there that will promise to help you for a big fee. Do not do it. You should never have to pay for this kind of help. Instead, use that money for your mortgage. There is free, expert help available from HUD-approved housing counselors. All right, so we've talked about the lifelines, but what happens if, for whatever reason, the process does go all the way to foreclosure? Well, the consequences, they're serious, and they stick around for a long time. Just look at this number, 7 years. That's how long a foreclosure stays on your credit report. And it's not from the end of the foreclosure, it's from the date of that first missed payment. In terms of credit damage, this is about as bad as it gets. The only thing more severe is bankruptcy. And the fallout goes way beyond just your credit score. We're talking about losing your home, obviously, and any equity you've built up. You'll have a really tough time getting another mortgage for maybe 5 to 7 years. Plus, there's a chance you could get hit with a deficiency judgment. That's where you still owe money even after they've sold the house. And of course, it ends with being evicted. It really affects your whole financial life for years. And that brings us to takeaway number 3. The consequences are severe and they are long-lasting. And look, we're not saying this to scare you. We're saying it because understanding just how serious this is, that's the motivation to grab one of those lifelines we talked about and take action early.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, so let's pull it all together now. Here's your playbook.
And this leads us to our final and maybe the most important takeaway of all. Number 4, knowledge is power. It really is. A lot of the fear around this stuff comes from not knowing what's happening. The minute you understand the process, you understand your rights, you take back control. That's your best defense. All right, let's do a quick recap of the whole playbook. Takeaway 1, the clock doesn't start immediately. You have a window to act, so use it. Takeaway 2, you have options, but you have to communicate with your lender and get that free expert help. Takeaway 3, the consequences are no joke. They'll impact your finances for years. And takeaway 4, your strongest tool, your best weapon in all of this is knowing the process and knowing your rights. So I'm going to leave you with a question to think about. That's all for now, folks. Please like, share, and subscribe for more like this.